Hey guys, this is Sandy back with my second video, and just a reminder, I am the owner of Journey into Journaling, the group, and I am also a designer for AJ's Paper Cuts. You can find us at Magical Moments, the store, as well as on Etsy. So check us out at AJ's Paper Cuts with a Z. Okay, last time we actually did a tutorial on how to make envelopes easily and without measuring, without any templates or any special tools, just using what you have. And I had a request to show how to different ways to decorate those envelopes, which we'll get to. But first, I totally forgot about a different type of envelope that's really fun. I think I learned that from a channel called Treasure Books. If you haven't seen it, you should look it up. She has fantastic videos on all sorts of journals and craft projects, gifts, just you name it. Really good channel. So we're going to go ahead and decorate, but first I wanted to show you real quick this other type of envelope. Now you can use just any type of paper. This right here is part of a brown paper bag, like just from the grocery store. And lately I've been trying to use more things like packaging from Amazon, brown paper bags, just all sorts of things that would otherwise end up in the trash. So it's great when you can actually take something that was headed to the landfill and make something useful out of it. And a lot of times you can turn that useful item into something beautiful as well, and that's kind of the icing on the cake. So just remember, everything is a crafting material. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, as you can see, last time we made an envelope, we used a square piece of paper. This time we're going to use a rectangle. So just any type of rectangle paper you have. It could be a piece of copy paper, anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some simple folds here. We're going to take and turn it so that we're looking at it lengthwise. And we're going to fold it over this way. And I like to make that crease pretty crisp. I got a little bit crooked there, but that's okay. We're not going for perfection here. We're just trying to have some fun. Now, we talked about different uses for the envelopes. Now, this one, depending on the size and what it's made out of and everything, you need to determine if you're going to be using this for an actual letter to go in the mail, because there are certain mail restrictions as far as size and whatnot. But today we're going to be making an envelope that's to go in a journal, so we're not going to worry about that, okay? Now, I've got the two sides folded over. Now I'm going to do the top fold, which I'm going to bring down to about right there. Then I'm going to do the bottom fold, which you're going to bring up about that far. So far we've got a rectangular shaped paper. We've made a fold here and here for the side panels, and we've made a fold for the top and the bottom. There'll be the top part of the envelope and the bottom part of the envelope. So as you can see now, we've got some little triangles here that we don't need. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up cutting those out. Now, the ones that are on the side, you want to leave as much of these side panels as possible. So you're just going to barely take anything off of those. Now, the ones at the top and the bottom, we're going to have fun with those. You can make it swirly or wobbly, or even you can do it any way you want, because these are just supposed to look perfectly imperfect. So let's grab a pencil and mark this so you can see a little bit what I'm talking about. So I'm going to mark just roughly here the parts that we don't need that we're going to take out. Those are X's. And here, these are X's. The X's are the parts we're going to cut out. We don't need those. Those go in the trash. So I'm going to go ahead just for fun and kind of mark an outline to follow for the bottom and for the top. Okay, now you see I made those lines definitely imperfect. They're kind of wavy and not symmetrical at all. And that's what I want. So let's go ahead and start cutting. And if I make mistakes, I'm going to leave that in the video because I want you to see that everybody makes mistakes and it's fine. You know, these aren't, it's just paper, you know, so it's okay if you make a mistake, and you can usually just cover it up somehow, incorporate it into your design. That's something that my art teacher in high school taught me. That was one of the most valuable lessons I learned. We were working with ink one day, and someone in an earlier class had decided that it would be fun to loosen the cap on the ink bottle so that when somebody picked it up, it would fall, hit the table, and splatter all over their work. Well, I was a lucky person that it happened to. So, yeah, that wasn't really fun. Now you see here on this side, the side panels, I'm not going to take off very much of those at all. I'm just going to barely take anything off of those. I'm kind of basically just going to round off the edges a little bit, trim it a little bit here, and bring that in here, and just cut that off right there. And I'm going to turn it around and kind of do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to barely take anything off. I'm pretty much just rounding the corners. Okay, that's what it looks like so far. Now we're going to do the fun part, and you don't even have to really stay right along those lines that you made. You can go higher or lower. You can vary them. It doesn't really matter, just as long as you have fun with it. That's the main thing here. We just want to have fun. Okay, so this one is going to go right here. And I may even change my mind and decide to use the top for the bottom, or vice versa. Let's see what this is looking like so far. Okay, that actually looks pretty darn good right there. So we've got our sides, our bottom, and our top. And I like those the way they are, so I'm going to leave them like that. But we're just going to do a little bit more. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some glue here on each side to glue this flap up. Now we want to be careful again not to get glue in here so that it glues your envelope shut. And you know, I do like to ink things, so I'm going to go ahead and ink this just to make the edges more defined. Strictly a personal preference. If you don't want to ink, you don't have to. You can use different things like I showed you in the last video. You can use shoe polish, you can use makeup. You don't have to have anything fancy. I am using a Distress Oxide from Ranger brand, and that is a very popular brand of ink that a lot of crafters like to use. But like I said, you don't need anything fancy or expensive to do this. Nothing special. And you might not even want to ink it at all. You might want to just leave it like it was. And that's fine too. This is your project. You get to do it how you want. But I like to ink, so I'm going to ink mine. The thing is you do want to ink it before you glue, because if you ink after you glue, it's a little bit harder to get in all the little nooks and crannies without tearing anything, and you don't want to tear it. So I do recommend that you ink it before you glue anything down. And I'm actually going to flip this backward and ink that little inner line as well. I'll actually go back and erase that pencil line. I didn't do it in ink, so it's not going to matter. But okay, the next step, now that we've inked, is to glue it. So you see I'm using paper, ink, which is optional, scissors, and glue. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. If I can get the glue off. Okay, so I'm going to want to glue the bottom flap up to form the bottom of my envelope. Being careful not to get any on the inside here where it will make my envelope glued shut. We don't want to do that. Okay. Now that is our completed wobbly envelope. I think it's kind of cute. You know, you can do whatever you want with it. This is like intended to go in a journal, so you could put some extra paper for journaling space in there. You could put some little ephemera, some stickers, little things that whoever gets the journal might want to use in the journal. And that's kind of fun to just tuck little surprises throughout. And it's always fun to find little surprises, right? So that's how to make the second type of envelope that I wanted to show you guys. And you can be more precise with it if you want to do a more perfect envelope. You don't have to do the swirly, uneven, oblong things. But for our purposes today, I just want to do this fun one. Okay, now let's get to decorating, which is what I had promised you guys. There are so many ways to decorate that I can't even begin to tell you how many. But you can do things like collage, taking little scrap papers and gluing them over the surface and trimming off the excess. That's really fun. Another thing you can do is use paint, watercolors or acrylic paint, and paint designs on it. You don't have to be an artist. It's a magazine that is just about outdoor activities and things. But any magazine you can use. You can cut out letters and words to use in decorating. You can cut out just colors and strips, whatever you want. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and see if you're going through it for a certain theme. Maybe you want sky or water. There's some forest. A lot of good nature things in here. And this is even fun. This pistachios. There's just all sorts of things in here. Oh, I really like this one. That's pretty cool. The people up here on the little clip edge. This is Glacier Point. That's pretty cool. Okay, what else do we have? We got adventure. We got some really pretty yellow and gold colors. That might be nice if you're going for a fall look. That would be fun. There's some food. When I do a food-themed journal, that's always good to do. Let's see what else. Oh, this is really cool. I like this artistic illustration here. It's got some kind of a spacecraft or an airplane, the stars. There's a cartoon of underwater. Oh, and here's a map. Maps are one of my favorite things to decorate with, to use in journals. If you're doing one about a certain place, like Paris, for example, and you can find a map of Paris. You can use that in your journal to kind of tie it all together. One thing I do like to mention is when you're decorating a journal, you can repeat certain things to kind of give it a cohesive overall theme. You know, for example, if you're doing nature, you can have a little bit of nature in every embellishment or design, or you can do certain butterflies or cooking. Here's another really fun cooking one that would be great for a cooking journal. And oh, here's some really interesting textures. This is like, I guess it's rock or dirt, weeds, something brown with a hoodie laying on it. I kind of like that. I think that texture is really fun. I think I probably am going to use that. But there's a lot of different stuff in here. I also like this misty scene with the trees, the bare trees. I also like that. There's a hot air balloon. So much fun stuff in here. Oh, this is nice. I'm probably going to use this in something because I really like the greenery here. So let's go back to this page. Now, I think what I'm going to do is use that on this envelope. And I'm going to go ahead and put it down and trace with that pencil. To match the top fold of the envelope. And again, it does not need to be perfect. We're not going for perfection here. We're just going for fun. That's not showing up very much, but I think I can see it well enough to trim it. And I want to make this a little bit smaller so that it doesn't hang over the edge of the envelope. These scissors are not really great, but I don't know why I picked them up. But I guess that just serves to show you that any kind of scissors will work for this. You really don't need anything fancy. Just something to get it out so you can glue it down on your envelope. See, I'm kind of making the same, following the same shape, but like I said, I want to make it a little bit smaller so that it does not extend over the edge of the flap, that you'll be able to see the whole thing. Okay, here's what I've got, and I'm going to glue that onto this flap right here and trim off any overhang. Actually, I'm going to trim it up a little bit more. There's a little bit more than what I wanted on here. And that's okay. You can always just adjust as you go. Okay, I like that. I think that'll be just right. So now I'm going back to my glue. By the way, I like to use a good glue because there's nothing worse than getting a journal made and going back, you know, a couple of months later and seeing that your images have lifted up and separated. I made that mistake when I first started journaling, just using some cheap glue, and I found out that one thing that's good to invest in is a good glue. Because you don't have that frustrating issue of going back and finding things have lifted up. Because like this magazine, for instance, it's slick paper. It's kind of hard to adhere. If you're just using a cheap glue, it's probably not, you know, like a water-based glue, it's probably not going to stick very good. But using this is called Fabri-Tac, and it's by Beacon, and it's great for doing paper to paper, paper to fabric, fabric to fabric. It tells you everything that it can stick here. and it does dry clear, and it dries fast, so you're not going to have like a lot of wiggle room. Once you put something down, it's going to dry pretty fast, so you're not going to be able to move it very much, so you want to keep that in mind. But here I've just got the flap for the top part on here, so I'm going to do something similar for the bottom. Go back, and we're going to just kind of, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and make another little wiggly piece to go on the bottom. It doesn't even have to match. By the way, I'm using a different holder for my camera. I guess you call it a tripod, but I couldn't find the one that I used last time, and so I was trying a different one, and it was not working out well. I kept falling, so I just got this other one out that I had in storage, and I'm using it, and so far it hasn't fallen, so knock on wood. Okay, I'm going to trim a little more off the top of this. Keep in mind, perfectly imperfect. You just want a little color, a little texture, a little pattern. Okay, that's going to work great. Now you can also layer it with other things. And what I mean by that is, one of the things I really love to work with is copy dyed paper, which is here. I do that myself. It's easy. And old book pages. That's another great thing. See, this one is vintage because it's really discolored, but I think that lighter brown will go very well with this darker brown. So I'm actually going to tear some of this off, and it's actually got a word on it. It says perhaps, and that is kind of like a big question mark. Perhaps what? So that leaves it to the imagination of the viewer. I kind of like that. So, and that was just random. I didn't plan that. This is just a piece of book page that I happened to pick up. So let's see. Do I want to put that under or over? I think I'm going to put it over, underneath the magazine piece, but I'm going to have it sticking out a little bit so you can see the word. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So let's put this down first. I think I might even tear a little bit more of this corner off. Yeah, that's good. Put the glue on the back side. I'm going to stick that down here. So it's right there. And then we're going to come back and glue this other piece from the magazine. And it's going to overlap this to give it a layered look, which I really like. I like having a layered look. It makes things more eye appealing. So this is how that turned out. I've got my word there, perhaps, and that, and when it folds down, it's going to be perfectly done like that. And then in another video, I can show you guys how to do a closure if you want. There are a lot of different fun ways that you can make closures. The simplest one is actually gluing a piece of some thicker paper, cardstock or something here, but only gluing the bottom half so that you can tuck the top under it to hold it shut. You can also use brads and little circles. Those are some other closures, but we'll go into that more at a later time. So this is one envelope made and decorated, and you can put something on the back. Now this all depends if you're going to clip it into your journal, leave it loose and just paper clip it in, or if you're going to glue it down. If you're going to glue it on a page in your journal, you're not going to want to decorate the back because that's going to be on the page. And so you don't want to do that. But if you're just going to slide it in with a paper clip or something like that, then yeah, you can just tuck it into a pocket or anything. There's lots of things you can do. You can put it, like I said, paper for extra journaling in there. See, it's pretty flat. There's not a lot of bulk in this at all. And we cut those extra pieces out, so it's not bulky. It's pretty flat. So you can definitely have some wiggle room as far as putting things in this. Okay, so there you go. There's that one. Now I'm going to take another one like we made last time. This was with the square paper. And you remember how that turned out. So this is the envelope we made with the square paper. This one's actually got some green in it. So I think I'm going to go back to that page that had the greenery on it and use some of that. Let's see, where was that in here? Oh, this is really cool. Look at these different textures here. They're in those little blocks. You could cut those out and use them like stickers, basically. This one's got water drops. This one's some fibers. And this is like a basket weave. This almost looks like a concrete. There's all different textures in there that are really fun. So you can use them for a lot of different things. Now this was before this page, so I'm going to keep going back. There's some green. I kind of wanted that other one though. I think it was before that. Maybe not. I guess it was past it. I probably should have marked it so I could go back to it easier. So what have y'all been working on? You've been working on any art journals or other kind of crafts? There's the green. I like this one a lot. I think I'm actually going to decorate this one on the back side as well. Whatever you're doing, I hope it's been fun. I know here in Texas the weather is cooling off some. We haven't had any freezing temperatures yet. That will come after Halloween, which is not far off. But we usually don't get any freezing temperatures until after Halloween. Actually, I think I'm going to tear this out. I kind of like the rough torn edge look better sometimes than just the straight, clean cut edge, if that makes sense. And again, I want it just a little bit smaller than the envelope so you can see the edges of the envelope around the picture that you put on there. And I'm going to tear off this side to make it look like a rough edge as well. And the bottom is a little too straight, isn't it? So we're just ripping this off a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and very lightly here. I know this is slick paper, but it's still going to pick it up a little bit where I tore the edges, where the rough edges are. It's going to pick up the ink just a little bit. Just enough to give it a little oomph. Let's see if this is about the size I want. Yep, that will So let's go ahead and glue this down on here. So this is the basically the cutting pictures out of magazines. You could use pages from books, illustrations, old greeting cards, you know, whatever you want you can use, because the possibilities are actually limitless. You can find stuff all over the house that you didn't know you had, maybe, that will work out great for decorating in your journals. So on this, I probably think I want to layer something else. What do you think? That's beautiful, the green, and it matches a little design in it. But I kind of think it needs a little something else, maybe layered on it. I'll show you this other one that I had decorated. Now this is something fun too. You don't have to do anything like this, but I do have an edge punch that makes these little designs, and I did that a little bit. Now this right here is just simply a cluster. It was just some smaller scraps. On the bottom, I've got another piece of brown wrapping paper or paper bag. This is a piece of sheet music, and this looks like an old book page that's kind of discolored from age. And I just layered those, and that gives it a pretty little look. And then you can actually add some bling or something on there, maybe a butterfly or something like that, and that gives you a cute little envelope. So actually for this one, I think I'm going to go back and find those pistachios because those are green too. Here we go. I think it'll be fun to cut out maybe one or two of these and use those on the cover as well. Now, one of the terms you hear in the journaling world is fussy cutting. Basically what that is just cutting things really close to the edge and using them. And the trick to it is you want to move the paper, not the scissors. So you're holding your scissors still and you're just barely turning the paper to cut out the item that you want. In this case, it's a pistachio. I'm not the best at fussy cutting, but I will tell you it takes some practice. It's not going to be easy overnight, so don't worry if you're not great at it when you first start out, because I don't think anybody is. Some people actually never master that, and it's very tedious. So, but it is doable. Everything is doable. My dad used to tell me anything that somebody can do a lot of, you can at least do a little of. And that was another important lesson in life that I've learned. I'm going to go with some more of that book page. Here's a little bit. I'm going to put that. And I think there's something called the rule of three. You want to have three things and decorations. So we've got the bag greenery, we've got the book page, and then we've got the pistachio here, and it's all kind of in the same brown and green colors. So I think that'll work. I'll go ahead and get the glue. And again, I will be clipping this into a journal, not gluing it down, so the back will actually be viewable when people are looking through the journal. So I wouldn't do this if I was just going to glue it down. But with paper clipping, that's movable, removable, so they can take it out, put it in another journal, or put it in their bag, whatever they want to do. And we've got this pretty pistachio nut, and it picks up some of the brown from the paper and the green from the background. I think that's really, really cute. We could even add like a label or a butterfly or something on here, extra on here. You know, it's optional if you want to decorate the other side, but you know, we may as well while we're here. And as I was saying, you know, you've always got the option to use pictures from books and magazines, or you can do a collage. There's all sorts of things you can do. We can even try painting sometime if you guys want to. Why don't you tell me in the comments what you would like to see as far as decorating. You want to see painting, watercolors, acrylics, markers, colored pencils. What do you like? Let me know down in the comments and we'll see what we can do. And I hope you guys are enjoying this. I really appreciate everyone who commented and liked on the last video. I do want to give a shout out to Jeannie and Tamalita and Vicky. Thank you guys so much for watching and leaving your awesome feedback. That really helps me to know what I'm doing right or what I can improve on.